Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to your source of insight, thoughtful discussion, and revelations of mostly true facts about all of your soon-to-be favorite films. It's the SmoothThrills Radio Hour. So we've reached the halfway mark in this run, so it's kind of the hump episode, if you will. No, wait, that's not. Anyway, we're talking about a major milestone in the story of Disney Studios this time. It is, of course, the 1979 classic, The Black Hole. Now, this is a movie that either propelled the beloved movie studio of your youth to new heights, or the movie that betrayed and murdered it from a certain point of view. Nathan and Katie are here to take the Cygnus and its crew apart and put it back together. But first, crew of the Palomino, how y'all feeling about this episode?
No sense leaving the story of a lifetime untold, Captain.
I believe there is, Harry. And it's looking straight at us.
No.
It just said sex symbol. It didn't say.
Yes, she is a
porn
sex symbol.
actress.
Yeah. She keeps it classy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's a scene where she urines and,
Urines? You mean urinates? Man, I gotta go urine.
I was trying to make a pun with yearns and urines, but it didn't really play.
Does she really have a piss scene? Or is it urinating? I'm confused now.
It's a little bit of both, actually.
Well, anyway, shall we get started? Anybody?
Sure.
Nah.
No.
Nah,
Good where we
not
are.
necessary.
Bye, guys. It was nice talking.
Yes. In 1953, RKO Pictures refused to distribute a movie called The Living Desert, a documentary film produced by none other than the Walt Disney Company. Now, RKO had been distributor for Disney for several years at this point, so this move was a little weird and completely unexpected. Disney's response was to take total control over their own distribution and create their own distribution company, the Buena Vista Film Distribution Company. Now, the company went through a lot of name changes over the years, so for our purposes here, we'll just refer to it as Buena Vista. Keep it simple. Now, everything moved along as usual for a long time, but then things began to change. Not necessarily because of Buena Vista, but for a lot of other reasons. By the time the 1970s rolled around, Uncle Walt was gone. His brother Roy had been forced off the board. Most of the original 9 old men were either retiring or dying. A new group was in charge for the first time in the history of the company. A group that started asking themselves, why do we put all this effort into filling theaters with kids that pay half price for tickets when we could fill them with adults that pay full fare? Buena Vista suddenly took on a new importance. Now, it was a Disney company, so they could use it to put out anything they wanted to, after all. And with Buena Vista, they could do it without direct association, at least for a little while, with the pure and pristine Disney brand. It was a very thin veil, granted, but it was a veil nonetheless. So 25 years after RKO's inexplicable slight, the floodgates were about to open, and the Walt Disney Company was well on the path to becoming the media behemoth we all know it to be today. So what was this monster, born first in the 1930s and then again in the late 70s, going to do next? Were we, the movie-going audience, going to enjoy years and years of creativity and movie magic? Or were we about to get locked inside a giant evil robot? Either way, there was certainly no escaping Disney's Black Hole. It is the SmoothThrills Radio Hour. Thank you all for coming. We are indeed talking about the Black Hole. And before we get into what I'm sure, given the nature of this panel, will be a torch and pitchfork assault on Disney itself, we're going to try to focus on the movie itself for a little bit here at least. Katie, is this your first time that you've seen the Black Hole or heard of it or been exposed to its grandeur?
Yes.
It sounds rehearsed.
Love it.
I've seen the first half of it 3 times, but just finished it for this time.
Where would you leave off? When you say the first half, where was your cutoff point? Where like
probably 48 minutes.
The funeral for the robot.
It was a tearjerker.
I mean, it makes sense once you figure out what's going on. It did seem kind of weird when you just thought it was a robot.
Yeah.
What about me, Jason? Was it my first time seeing this movie?
I doubt it was, but I'll ask anyway. Nathan, was this your first time seeing this movie before now?
It was my first time seeing this in a long while.
It
No,
is
actually,
not
I
one of
watched
those
it.
you would go back and revisit that often.
I do. In
I was
fact, I
gonna
think
say,
I
I
watched it
feel
about a
like
year ago, I think.
I feel like it would be one he'd watch often.
Yeah.
Mm. Is it just like one of those background noise kind of movies for you that you just like the comfort food you put on? Or are you really into this?
I like that he's like,
I don't
why?
know.
Why would you watch this more than once?
Wait a minute. Are you not a fan of it, Jason? You got Maximilian sitting right over your shoulder there.
This is a prop.
I mean, okay. No, this is a favorite from childhood, man. Yeah. This is absolutely. I've seen it. I don't know how many times. It could be, yeah, it's comfort food, sure, but every once in a while, put it on and get back into that. Revisiting it recently put me in that whole post Star Wars, like everybody else is trying to compete era.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I watched a shit ton of these movies over and over again, you know, like Star Crash, and even watched Moonraker, which isn't really, but like the John Barry trilogy of 79, Star Crash, Moonraker, and The Black Hole. And Message from Space.
Oof.
Which is it's a tough one. It is. The Shape of Things to Come.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So we know that you watched this as a kid, and I just watched this now. Jason, when did you come to this movie?
I saw it in theaters when I was 7.
Okay.
Wow. I bet he'd seen it in the theater.
And it isn't a comfort watch for you?
I saw it in theaters when I was 7 and forgot about it completely for a very long time.
Really?
Yeah.
How many times would you say you've seen it?
Once to see it and several other times for the purposes of this show. But I don't think I've seen it otherwise.
Really?
That's like a first with our podcast. Usually you have seen it all. Not all, but we usually cover things that you've seen more than once.
Well, I was more aware of it and what it meant rather than seeing it as a movie, because it is the beginning of a new period of media, really. And that's maybe more important than the movie itself, if that makes any kind of sense. I mean, no one is still talking today about The Black Hole as a movie on its own. It's always in the context of
because of this or because of that. Yeah.
What became of the company that put it out after this happened? Because it really did start an avalanche of stuff going into the 1980s. That
it was their first PG movie, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I saw that on IMDb.
Sort of. Kind of depends on how you look at it. So in 53, RKO refused to distribute The Living Desert, which became an Oscar winner.
What is that? What is that a documentary of?
A bunch of geckos dancing around in the sand. As far as I can tell, I've never actually seen it.
Fair enough.
It's one of those goofy little Disney documentaries, like their what was it called? It wasn't called Nature Series. It was True Life Series or something like that.
Their television series?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those sort of things.
Yeah, it was like in competition with like Mutual of Omaha and stuff like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Referring to? Yeah.
So for years, they distributed through Buena Vista either movies that were produced or co-produced with the Disney company. But then January of 79, Buena Vista released a movie called Takedown. It was the first PG movie through Buena Vista, but it was not produced by Disney itself. That's the distinction. That and no one has ever heard of Takedown. I can't find a copy of it anywhere, so I have no idea what it's even like. The Black Hole has the distinction of being the first PG movie directly produced by Disney in its entirety and distributed.
All Disney Productions, yeah.
Right. Even though they try to hide it a little bit. If you aren't watching that part when the credits come up, you would never know Disney was involved. There's no giant castle logo. nothing else to associate it. And that was intentional. They knew they were taking a risk in putting this thing out.
But this
so
was just
tried to hide it.
But it was their way to try to make more money, right?
It was.
Well, hold on. Let me reiterate. Their way of trying to hit a broader audience.
That's probably more accurate. I mean, they had just opened Epcot, which was more skewed toward an older audience, older meaning 16 and up in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So they really wanted to, target that audience more. And what they were putting out at the time wasn't getting there. So this was an attempt to broaden those horizons and draw in more people. And I think it's also important to note that, we talked about this in the I Walked with a Zombie episode, that RKO was putting out 50, 55 movies a year. Disney itself was cranking out maybe 4 theatrical releases.
So very different from how they are nowadays.
Very different.
Yeah.
And when
they were struggling too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, forever. For
right
every
before
single
the black
movie,
hole. Yeah.
Yeah, every single movie you put out is putting the company on the line. You're throwing everything into this, and if it doesn't work, you're screwed. In hopes that
something sticks and brings in.
You look at the history of Disney, and way up into even the 1990s, every single big animated release was putting the company on the line. They were in danger of tanking the whole thing if one of them didn't work like it was supposed to.
That's so interesting.
Like Treasure Planet, or who knows what else.
Well, you also have to think about the stuff that they were putting out prior to the black hole was very much embedded in that Disney style. Even like the Jodie Foster movies close to this period, Candle Shoe and Freaky Friday, directed by Gary Nelson, who went on to direct Black Hole right afterward. Those movies feel like early 60s comedies. They like the Kurt Russell movies that went into the 70s still feel embedded in that Love Bug era.
Yeah, the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, I think was that Kurt Russell?
Oh yeah.
Well, do you think
now you see him, now you don't. All those, yeah.
Do you think that comes from them going, well, this is an equation that works, so don't fix what's not broken?
I think so. It's a formula. They were doing safe family films. They weren't trying to break any ground by speaking on social issues or anything like that. They just want to entertain families without worry. Okay. So like the black hole was a big gamble because now we're doing PG, but we're not doing a movie like we've ever done before.
So was it a direct response to the success of Star Wars?
I don't think you can escape that. I think the black hole had been kicking around as an idea for years before, though. I think it dates back to 72 in some way.
But with Star Wars success, it's showing that this is something that people and audiences could essentially consume.
Right. Yes. Star Wars opened a lot of doors to a lot of goofy ideas from a lot of people. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it.
Right. I mean, everybody was competing at that point. Like a good example is the James Bond movie Moonraker was not on the slate to be done because they had done The Spy Who Loved Me in 77, the same year as Star Wars. And once the next movie that was going to be done was going to be For Your Eyes Only. And they announced it at the end credits, The Spy Who Loved Me. James Bond will return in For Your Eyes Only. And then they went, oh shit. What do we got that's close to Star Wars? Well, we got Moonraker. It's not really close at all to Star Wars.
It's similar enough that it's like we're going to grasp onto this and hopefully benefit from that.
True. And also, Eon Productions was also latching on to the craze over the space shuttle, which had just taken flight for the first time. So they were getting a double whammy there.
And that's what the movie really becomes. It's like the last half hour is a space shuttle at a space station kind of thing, but it's not like you don't really get Star Wars per se. Despite what the advertising would sell you on. I mean, the poster is amazing. It looks like he's going to be in space for the whole movie. No.
Without a helmet.
Yeah, exactly. But it's it's got its charms, I suppose. And then of course Paramount was like, well, what do we do? Okay, I guess now we have to make Star Trek a motion picture, literally. Yep. Because they were going to make that for television, but once Star Wars happened, let's make a feature.
Well, the black hole opened 2 weeks before Star Trek?
I think so.
Or
yeah,
even a week before.
December.
They were real
They were very close, yeah.
Like right on top of each other.
Although I don't think the black hole is like any of those other films at all, actually. I think
it's all very different in its own ways.
Yeah, it's the most akin to something like Forbidden Planet, probably, but
the whole thing kind of looks, the look of it is like if Forbidden Planet took place in an abandoned shopping mall. It has that kind of weird aesthetic to it in a lot of ways, except for the control room, except for the bridge, which looks absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, it's a visually stunning film for the age that it has.
They did a really good job.
Yeah, and it holds up. Except nothing with shooting guns ever looks good. The laser guns, but other than that, it looks amazing.
Yeah, and I mean it works for the piece, but yeah, I like those double guns that they have with the two. Yeah, that's
and on top of that, you get what is easily one of the top 10 movie robots ever in Maximilian.
Yeah,
I like the other guy.
You put him up there with Robbie the robot,
Vincent.
Yes.
Oh, I hated those stupid little robots. I instantly hated both of them. They just annoyed the piss out of me. I don't know what it is, but
voiced by Roddy McDowell and Slim Pickens.
Whenever Bob is scared and he's just like trembling next to Maximilian, I loved it. I also Anthony Perkins. Is that the name? Yeah.
Yep.
He's great.
Truly.
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins. This is Robert Forster.
Yeah. See, this is another reason I love this damn movie. Is it's two of my favorite actors are Perkins and Forster, and this might have been my first exposure to either of them as a kid. And of course, Borgnine's in there,
and of course Joseph Bottoms, who was in your favorite movie, High Rolling in a Hot Corvette. I mean, how could you pass that one up?
Let me ask you. I always had a theory about Joseph Bottoms. He, especially because he's in the black hole, he reminds me physically. He resembles Larry Buster Crabbe, who played Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers back in the serial days. If you look at him, he's got similar profile.
All right.
And the fact that there was a Flash Gordon movie the following year was a little weird to me, but I could see him playing Flash Gordon.
Oh.
He doesn't look like Timothy Bottoms. He doesn't look like Sam Bottoms. They all kind of have those two look more alike than he does to them. I mean, they all have a resemblance. But yeah, I always think Buster Crabbe.
Weird. I never made that connection, but
just look at him and you'd be like, okay. The fact that he's in a spaceship just adds to it,
Let's not forget Yvette Mimieux, who you remember from 1960 Time Machine, Where the Boys Are, Monkeys Go Home, Jackson County Jail, among many others.
Hot off of the Devil Dog, the Hound from Hell, and you mentioned Jackson County Jail. She's hot off of the TV version of that movie, Outside Chance. I don't know if you know about that.
I don't know.
Roger Corman made a deal with NBC, and they repurposed Jackson County Jail as a TV movie. So it's kind of like this weird pseudo sequel, but it's not. She's in it. Tommy Lee Jones is not. But yeah, they use the same footage from Jackson County Jail in true Corman fashion. Both that and Devil Dog were in 78, so she's hot off of those.
So one thing I've always wondered is, you mentioned Slim Pickens and Roddy McDowell. Do we know why they're not credited in the movie?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I've never known that either. I thought it was maybe some kind of weird contractual thing about voice acting, maybe, or
I don't think
I've never really
because
found any good reason.
They have such distinctive voices.
Yeah.
And Roddy McDowell also is not credited in Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry.
That's true.
So he was kind of known for doing little bit parts here and there. But the fact that both of them are doing voice acting and neither are credited, that's interesting.
And Roddy McDowell was kind of a Disney regular in a lot of their other stuff. It's just kind of strange to me that they had no credit in it.
My thinking is maybe it's Disney trying to purport that these aren't creations, right? Yeah, that they're actually, this is a robot and that's the voice of the robot.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. No.
You never know.
Disney does stupid stuff.
Well,
like,
yeah.
You look at all their, animated films pre late 80s.
Okay.
Where they start employing major vocal talent, like major actors, to do these vocal roles, which, is pointless because the kids don't give a shit.
Right.
But if it's Demi Moore doing the Hunchback from no one cares. But
I actually prefer no names. Like, I hate when they put very well-known actors to it, because it takes, all you hear is them.
Right.
You don't hear the character they're supposed to be.
I think that kind of started with casting Robin Williams in Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the time when I was a kid, I didn't know who Robin Williams was. So for me, like, I wasn't into things movie-wise as I am now. Whereas back then, when I saw Aladdin for the first time, I don't think I had really seen Robin, because after I watched his stand-up, that really changed Aladdin for me, because I was like, oh, okay, that's the genie saying that stuff,
Yeah.
Whereas I think the only other thing as a kid I had seen him in was Mrs. Doubtfire.
Not Moscow on the Hudson.
Not Fisher King, just
Fisher King.
Good movie.
Great movie, yeah.
So everybody in this movie, on screen anyway, had a long list of credits, especially Maximilian Schell, who was fantastic in this. The crew behind the scenes, not so much. I mean, we mentioned Gary Nelson, who basically was a TV guy. He had done a lot of TV work, not a lot of feature films. The writing staff had no feature film credits that I could find. Why did they hire a bunch of TV people to do their first feature film? Especially their first PG film.
Well, I mean, it's a cost-effective measure because they're making a gamble. It's kind of like when Hitchcock wanted to do Psycho, and Paramount didn't believe in him enough to pull it off. They didn't have the faith in it, so he used his television crew from Alfred Hitchcock Presents to shoot that movie. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure why, but they took a chance on this probably. And so
if it failed, then maybe it wouldn't have impacted. Like, had they put their top of the line people on it, could that have been a career changer for them?
Could possibly be. And also, it's that at this point in history, there was still a very firm dividing line between TV people and movie people. Like, if you were a movie person, you did not slum around in TV, and the TV people were rarely elevated up to movies. So that especially makes me wonder why they had TV writers working on it. The whole thing almost feels like a TV pilot in some ways because of this, I think. Especially the way it ends is kind of like an open-ended
I can see that
thing.
Like, there could have been more had it been picked up by a television. I can see what you're saying.
It's also kind of hard to fathom that Gary Nelson just had done Freaky Friday for them, and he's going into this bold, effects-driven movie where earlier he's dealing with the special effects of convincing the audience that Barbara Harris is jet skiing and hang gliding and Patsy Kelly is popping a wheelie, to all this ambition that they're putting on the screen here.
So I have a question. If this is a TV crew and he did Freaky Friday, was Freaky Friday straight to television?
No, that was theatrical. That was one of Disney's biggest hits in the 70s.
That's what I thought, but I guess I got confused.
It's easy to think it was TV because it did play on HBO relentlessly for about a year and a half afterwards. I mean, every single day, twice a day.
And it was remade as a TV movie before the Jamie Lee Curtis, Lindsay Lohan version.
I've never seen any of them.
I'm still waiting on that sequel to the first one.
Was that supposed to happen?
I don't know what it would have been. Something Saturday. I don't know what the title would have been. Screwy Saturday. I don't know. The John Astin and the kid from the Bad News Bears TV series. Yeah.
Well, I had a terrible segue into talking about the reviews for the movie, but if you have something better than that, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's a science fiction film, space opera, we could term it as, but more than anything, and I think what always intrigued me as a child was, and even more so now when I see it, is that it becomes a straight up horror movie.
It's a haunted house movie.
Yeah, and it's more so, and that would be the first time they really get into that, because not only is it that they're doing the sci-fi spectacle, they're doing a little bit of, it's before they did, Watcher in the Woods, or Something Evil This Way Comes, Something Wicked, Jesus. Yeah, so
Something wicked, Jesus.
Every time
this
I
way
watch
comes,
it,
yeah.
I just think about it. And anytime I go to Spirit Halloween, they have those masks, those
silver masks. Yeah,
and I
I'm
always
definitely
think the
gonna look
black
at
hole.
them differently now.
All you
that
need
I'm
is
aware of
that
the
and a
movie.
cloak, and you get a costume from the black hole.
And then what's nice about that, and then you can really like weed out the people in your life, because if they get the reference, then you know to keep them, and then if they don't get it, you're just like whatever.
And then they also don't know who the hell you are behind that mask. So
if you're human or not.
Are you programmed to speak?
No.
I mean, I basically say that to people at work.
Oh, well, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
So was it successful in the theater?
It made money, surprisingly. Opening up against Star Trek, it did okay. It had a budget of about $20 million, which is almost double what Star Wars had, but not as much as Star Trek had. And it ended up doing okay. I think it made about 36 mil. And then, of course, the ancillary toy sales of Mr. Maximilian and the two little annoying robots. I forget their names.
So have you had Maximilian since you were a kid, or did you find him later in life?
I had the original action figure and lost it.
Decades ago. I never had the action figures. I always wanted them.
Decades ago. But yeah. So it was successful despite the reviews. Our buddy Roger Ebert, who we love to quote here, gave the movie 2 out of 4 stars, so half, not too bad, saying, "It takes us all the way to the rim of space only to bog us down in a talky melodrama whipped up out of mad scientists and haunted houses." Fair. A lot of the other reviews ended with something they thought was totally original, like "disappears down the black hole, ha ha ha, aren't I clever?" There was probably the most scathing review came from the very theater I was in when I saw this. When
was it you?
During the opening credits, a guy sitting in front of me got up out of his chair and angrily stomped out of the theater saying, "Damn it, I thought this was Star Wars." That happens.
Fucking idiot.
I know.
He gets what he deserves.
I know. Perhaps one of the most intriguing ones I ran across came from a guy named Vincent Miazzano, writing for something called Aries Magazine, which I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something like Gent. I really don't know. Who commented, "In the final analysis, the black hole is similar to its natural namesake. Nothing can escape from it either. Not a glimmer of imagination or inspiration. Perhaps if Pluto and Mickey hadn't been involved." And that's an interesting point. Had Disney not had any hand in this movie, it might have been something very different. And maybe much more interesting.
People's perception of it.
You can definitely tell they put a heavy hand on it too.
But it doesn't not succeed for that.
Right.
Well, I also mentioned that, we saw this as a Buena Vista release. There was no real association with Disney at first. If you didn't know anything about movies, you didn't know that you didn't know it was Disney. That came up a bit
Disney
later.
Productions.
Yeah.
The Black Hole.
But if you're taking the kids to the theater.
I love little golden books.
If you're just taking the kids to the theater and putting them in a movie, you don't know the Disney Association when it became. What I'm saying is when the Disney Association became more obvious, that's when the backlash really got started.
But that kind of exists now too, because Disney has their fingers in so many things now that not everybody knows what companies Disney owns.
There's a lot. We'll get into that in a second, but I want to take you through a timeline real quick. I like how you called me out in the beginning,
where you were like,
"Oh, we'll get it."
Why are you being Jason today, Nathan?
Walt Disney Productions presents.
I'm going to get into that in a minute, too. I want to take you through a brief timeline really quickly. So, December 79.
It's relentless. It just keeps coming.
It's a pop-up book.
Oh, that's awesome. I love pop-up books. What else you got? I love that so much.
No Viewmaster?
The comic book adaptation.
I like how you're like, I don't think Nathan would like this movie, but look at everything he has. Is this all from your childhood?
Yes.
Yeah.
He'd sent me a photo
I
of all this
even
stuff
drew.
before, so
I don't ever
knew
get
I kinda
photos of
knew.
stuff.
There's my name on there, and
Oh yeah,
What's that
Yeah.
peanut
Help.
sticker?
it's
Peanut
a
Being a-
scratch and sniff.
scratch and sniff peanut
stickers
sticker.
were huge.
And then I
Scratch and
even
sniff was huge.
did
at the
my
time.
own version of the ending, which doesn't make any sense.
Just like the ending. Yeah.
I like that you also wrote it in the book.
Yeah, I didn't give a shit. And you can't see it in the photo, but I put fangs on Robert Forster.
Nice.
Yeah, you can. I can see
Yeah.
it.
Like it.
Well, you froze. Okay, I was like, you froze for a second.
Well, let me ask you this now, then, Nathan. Concerning, oh my god, concerning the way this movie goes in the last 20 minutes or so. I'm going to direct this question directly to our resident professor of movie novelizations, Dr. Nathan Martin. I know you have at least one novelization of this outside of the comic books, probably. Did the comic books or the storybooks or any novelizations you've seen expand on this story at all, or did they fill in any of the gaps in the narrative maybe, or explain the ending of it a bit more than what we got? Because I know the script ended with and they disappear into the black hole, and everything after that was just kind of tacked on to try to build an ending out of nothing.
Well, funny you should say that.
Of course.
I've not read the Alan Dean Foster novelization since elementary school. I do have that, and I should have read that for the research on this, but they did 4 comic books, 2 of which were 2-part adaptation of the film. And then they did 2 other issues. The other 2 issues are Beyond the Black Hole, which goes beyond the black hole. And that's what this first issue is, Beyond the Black Hole. And they go into an alternate universe, basically. They end up seeing a version of their spaceship with them in it. Not the rocket that the escape pod that they go into, but the Palomino. And then they end up back on the same ship with Dr. Hans Reinhardt. And he doesn't recognize them because they're in an alternate reality.
Oh.
Meanwhile, you still have lost
like
Harry Booth and the Anthony Perkins character.
Still dead, yeah.
Yeah. But the interesting thing about the comic books is the 4th issue. I've never owned a copy of the 4th issue. It goes for hundreds of dollars if you can find it. And on the cover, it's them amongst dinosaurs.
So it's almost like a was it Lost in Space? What is the one
that's
where
what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, they end up in the Valley of Guanji or something. I don't know. But it's pretty interesting.
So they don't really explain why the probe ship had seats in it, or why the meteors look like flaming meatballs. I don't know. They didn't get into that.
Well, Meatballs was a big hit movie that year, so maybe that's why.
They're trying to capitalize on Meatballs.
Maybe.
I would have wanted more explanation of, is it Reinhardt's character? Because he's known for being this stellar scientist, but then he went missing. I kind of want backstory on him.
Yeah. Well, to me, he's like equatable to the Walter Pigeon character in Forbidden Planet. You end up somewhere, right? And you're wondering what's gone on with all the people that have been there before. Similar circumstances is it's weird that he's the one surviving member, right? And he's got his robot. Instead of Robbie, he's got Maximilian. Although Maximilian is programmed to not give a fuck with extreme prejudice.
This is true.
Whereas Robbie the robot is a good guy.
Of bourbon, yeah.
But that's that whole backstory, that 20-year span when they told him to go back to Earth and he says, I'm not doing it. And the fascination that both Ernest Borgnine's character and Anthony Perkins have with him because they know he's like legendary. And of course, to the point where Anthony Perkins wants to saddle up with whatever plan he's got. He's obsessed until he's not obsessed, and then boom. Spoiler alert. But Harry Booth from the beginning, he's very skeptical of this guy. I mean, he's a reporter. I mean, that's his job. So I get that, to the point where, he makes his own exit, Yeah, the backstory, I don't know if we want to know it, because I think that would kind of tarnish what we have. But
True.
it is interesting. And he's not as evil and when I watch it again, I never really see him as evil, but you kind of perceive him. When I was a kid, I would look at him as
the villain. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's, when he kills Anthony Perkins' character, Maximilian kills him, and he's like, why'd you do that? He was a good man. He can't even control his robot, and his robot's running the show.
There is that line that I believe Maximilian Schell improvised when he goes over to Yvette Mimieux and says, protect me from Maximilian. I don't think that was in the script. I think he just did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's difficult to know, because I almost think he's fucking with her a little bit.
Maybe.
That.
You could go either way with it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, he also has the great line, the time has come to liquidate our guests. So he is sinister, but to what degree?
We even had this discussion at Frightmare, Katie, where before I'd announced that the Black Hole was going to be one of our episodes, I was talking to Nathan about Maximilian Schell and how he would have been a better villain in Moonraker than whoever the guy was that actually did it. Mostly acted as a cardboard box with a mustache on it. Schell would have been better at it, but just saying.
Yeah.
And he was up for anything. Maximilian Schell would do anything at that time. So I don't know.
They seem like the same type, for sure. I like the fact that he's very mysterious. And then it adds to, is he evil or is he not evil?
Well, it seems like anytime in any film, especially your older ones, like anytime you have somebody who thinks against the grain, they're always deemed the villain, even if it's not a bad way of thinking or feeling, but because he doesn't want to go back to Earth, he's almost...
he turned the whole crew into robots. Anybody would do that, given the circumstances.
I always took it as in they wouldn't have survived if he hadn't done that, because that's kind of what he says.
Yeah, I think he's making that up.
Well, that's just it. I mean, that's what you think, and it's open to speculation.
It's ambiguous. Yes.
Yeah. But that's where I think the parting of the sea between the comparison with Walter Pidgeon from Forbidden Planet and him is I almost see those movies parallel in a lot of ways. And then
Walter Pidgeon was mere obsession. He was so fixated on this thing.
Well, so was
they couldn't see past
Maximilian Schell. But he's obsessed with, conquering the black hole and what's beyond, and
I wish I had the last name Pigeon.
But as an actor, he'd often get pigeonholed.
Oh.
That's where the term comes from, doesn't it, Nathan?
Yeah. It's like, not this role again.
Oh, I've been
you did it so well last time. Are we going to talk about how this movie actually has more matte paintings than any other Disney film up to that point, and much more so than even Star Wars had?
Well, Disney, I don't think, had much call for doing that sort of thing. I'm trying to think back on their catalog up to that point. Well, I mean, they had an effects division within Disney, and still do, but I don't think it was up to that speed. I don't know if they were doing the same kind of thing. This is definitely a groundbreaker for them as far as effects goes. I don't think they've done anything like this before. I mean, when you're just doing cell animation, of course, you can do whatever you want, but
yeah, it's interesting that you said, like, with the reviews, like Roger Ebert and whatnot, where they're like, it's just talky and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but look what else is going on that they never had done before. I mean, it's talky, but so is Forbidden Planet. Like,
it is.
But you're looking at the grandeur of that. You've never seen anything like that before.
That moment when the Cygnus lights up for the first time is just amazing looking. The black hole itself, I know it's just a bucket of paint that's getting swirled.
Yes,
around. I know that.
Isn't
but
that
it still looks
amazing,
really good?
Though? Yeah.
The sets look really good.
But it's because of that makes it age so well, in my opinion. When you do like the matte painting backgrounds and the stuff like that, it's not, because it's so interesting to me how there is like a period of time where CG was newer, and at that time it looked amazing, but now it looks atrocious.
Right.
But then you even have stuff that came out before then. It's just like, because I watched Frighteners a couple years ago, which I love that movie, but God, that CG did not age well.
I didn't think it aged well the first time.
Maybe it's because I was a kid and I just didn't care then, but because there was something I watched right after it that came out before it that looked better than it did, and I'm like, that's sad.
That was the 90s. It was like every other movie would either get it right, and then the next movie would be, I remember seeing, and it's not bad CG, but in Starship Troopers, I remember going to see some movie and seeing the trailer for that before it, and you see like the giant, what are they, arachnids? I don't know, whatever.
Bug things.
Yeah. So they're like, some guy in front of me was like, "Oh my God, how did they do that?" He literally said that to his date or whatever. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is what, 1997?
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're doing is CG for the most part. You should know this by now."
Yeah.
I mean, there's practical effects in that movie as well, but it's just, come on, dude. Really?
So let me walk you through a little timeline here. December 1979, The Black Hole is released. PG-rated, entirely produced by Disney, watershed moment. From 80 to 83, Disney released Watcher in the Woods, Condor Man, which I don't know if you've ever seen Condor Man.
Yeah.
Dragon Slayer, which I forget Dragon Slayer was a Disney co-production. I love Dragon
Paramount.
Slayer. Yeah, if you can
and
imagine.
Popeye also.
A Disney movie got written up in Fangoria, of all things, because of Dragon Slayer. That's unreal. Night Crossing, Tron, a movie called Trenchcoat, which they released again without a credit.
Margot
for different reasons. Yeah. Something that Wicked This Way Comes, Devlin Max Devlin, Never Cry Wolf. And that was when the audience really started to turn on them. They were like, okay, Disney, I don't associate Disney with this. This is wrong. What are you guys doing? That gap they tried to keep between distribution and brand was completely breaking down, and that's when they created Touchstone.
Yeah.
As the disguise.
Splash in 84 was the first one.
But think about that. Yeah. I mean, between 79 was their first PG movie. 86, Disney releases its first R-rated movie, Down and Out in Beverly Hills. That was a Disney production.
Touchstone, yep.
That's how fast everything changed for that company. And it's just unreal.
Well, it's also important to mention Michael Eisner going from Paramount to Disney. And he was kind of the brainchild behind the whole Touchstone Pictures thing.
I thought that was Bob Iger, or I thought Eisner came along a little bit later.
No, he was pretty much, because I remember it was like, you talk about pitchforks. I remember that being a major deal. Like, oh my God, are you not doing family features anymore? You can't do both. You can't. That's insane. I think the only animated film they did up to that point was Fox and the Hound in 81, and then Mickey's Christmas Carol.
I think Black Cauldron was at 86. I think.
Oh yes, that's another one. That's a good point. That was PG animated film, and that pissed off a lot of people.
Well,
Great movie.
Up to that point, they had done such a good job at protecting the Disney brand that it became a prison. I mean, even now, you say, what's a Disney movie to somebody, they're going to have an exact image in their head of something like The Rescuers or Little Mermaid. They're not going to associate Down and Out in Beverly Hills with Disney necessarily. I mean, we know Disney owns a lot of stuff, but you don't associate Disney directly with it still, to some degree.
I think if you lived in that era, you would, but otherwise, no one. And plus, they've retired Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's all folded under Disney now.
Yeah, it's weird.
The success of doing these PG movies, though, took them on something of a rampage after that. I mean, 83, they create the Disney Channel. And credit to them, because this is when a lot of people still were not taking cable television seriously. It was them and Nickelodeon.
When did Cartoon Network come about?
Oh, that was
90s.
Early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a while. I would say their next biggest deal after that, a lot of people would say the Capital Cities ABC purchase, where they got ESPN. I think it was before that. I think it was 1993 when they bought Miramax. And I think a lot of people forget that Disney bought Miramax.
Yeah.
When they went up for public offering.
Wow, so they've been procuring everything for a very long time.
Oh yeah,
it's
they
not
got
just
Miramax.
Recent.
Sure, Miramax in '93, Capital Cities ESPN, ABC '95, Fox Family Worldwide, which got them Christian Broadcasting Network, formerly known as now Freeform, in 2001. They bought the Muppets in 2004, Pixar in 2006, Marvel and Saban Entertainment in 2009.
I didn't know they bought Saban or Saban or whatever. Yeah.
Also in 2009, they bought a 30% stake in Hulu. Hulu, if we forget, was originally a joint venture between America Online, NBC Universal, Microsoft Network, MySpace, and Yahoo.
MySpace?
If you can believe that, yeah. That was the original partnership that made Hulu. They bought a 30% stake in 2009, increased to 100% in 2019. They now own all of it.
That's why you can get Disney Plus and Hulu packaged together.
Yep. Lucasfilm in 2012, and of course 21st Century Fox, and full control of Hulu in 2019.
Yeah, that's still hurts.
It's weird that they haven't done anything in a few years, because monetarily they're probably doing better now than they ever have.
Oh, no, they don't. Disney itself doesn't have to put out any new product. They just buy somebody else and put out their product.
Which is my main issue with them. Because, like, what was the last time that they ever did anything original? That wasn't somebody else's original idea that they absconded with.
Right, sorry, and they make their own movies now. Yeah, they do the live action versions of their own stuff. Yeah.
And even their own stuff wasn't original ideas.
No, it wasn't. Not necessarily. No.
When you're taking from what are they called?
The Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, like it's nothing from Disney is an original idea, except maybe the black hole.
Well, Tron is a big deal.
True, I do like Tron.
Tron is a big deal.
Yeah.
But speaking to that, Nathan.
Which Nathan?
That one.
We kind of remember. But even for those of us who are around at the time, it is difficult to imagine how much of a non-player Disney was up until the black hole. Just as an example, I have this lovely volume here, American Film Now being January of 79.
Now!
January, February 1979. Written by a guy named James Monaco. Now, this is, like I said, this is not definitive. This is just as an example. But this is one of those time capsule kind of books that tries to summarize a decade worth of filmmaking. It goes into excruciating detail on distribution revenues and management structures of different studios. It asks important questions about the future, like, will Martin Scorsese ever get his act together and be a great director?
What?
Is Orion Pictures the future of movies? Yeah.
At the time it was, kind of.
Maybe. But I will tell you this.
Hotel New Hampshire.
Out of this thoroughly researched 400-page volume, Disney gets 3 sentences. That's how much of a non-factor that studio was in the big picture of movie making in through the 1970s.
Yeah.
That's it. That brief mention of Disney is only to compare them to 2 other studios that were putting out Benji and the Bad News Bears. And
wait, where does the Badger Boy come into this?
Oh, that was the director of The Black Hole, previously
Gary
directed
Nelson.
The Boy Who Talked to Badgers.
Oh, okay, because I've been waiting for an hour now. Hour and 3 minutes to know when the Badger Talking Boy comes in.
Don't leave me hanging on Badger Boy, damn it.
Well, you know what's interesting is the other thing, too, is a major competition to Disney in the 70s were all those productions, the Wilderness Family productions that, you know.
Who did those? It wasn't Mulberry Square. They were doing the Benji
No, that's
shit.
Benji. Yeah. God damn. I'm going to have to think about it. Yeah, but they did other movies like, besides that, The Sea Gypsies was one, I remember.
While you're considering that, let me read you the portion from the book I'm talking about.
I'll consider it.
Where, just in context, the previous discussion in the book was about Louis Malle's Pretty Baby, which the author calls respectable child pornography. And scene. Which brings us by a circuitous but significant route back to children. Segue. For decades, Walt Disney's Buena Vista Company has had this market almost entirely to itself. Animated or live, children's film meant Disney. Disney films on the whole still tell popular fairy stories and nature tales, a situation that would be unexceptional except that these films are practically all there is available for children on the nation's movie screens. Children are better served by movies than by television these days, but only slightly. And that's it.
I feel like that's kind of true, though, then.
Well, it also speaks to the point we made earlier about how closely associated Disney is with this type of film, and that's all you do. How dare you step out of your lane and put something out like Black Hole or Dragon Slayer or something where people actually get killed.
But didn't they do that to themselves, though? And I understand that Black Hole was their attempt at getting out of that mold, but they definitely did it to themselves.
They may have overstepped a touch.
A touch.
A touch here and there.
Disney's good for that, overstepping a touch.
Yeah.
You know, they saw something to go for and totally went for it. No doubt about it. They trampled completely over everything they'd built up to that point to do this, too. It's part of what drove the last Disney off the board. Finally, Roy Disney III, I think, when they were putting out Cinderella 3 on VHS, and he just
said, I remember that.
Understand this company anymore. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Because all
really
they want to do is
going on.
Do things that make money. They don't even necessarily care if it succeeds. As long as it brings them money, they don't care.
Right. But I mean, who's waiting for Lady and the Tramp 2 Scamp's Adventure? No one.
The thing is Disney people are weird. They'll devour whatever is put out with Disney's title on it.
So can you really blame the company for doing this? I mean, like we said earlier, they gamble everything on one movie or put out a slew of stuff, buy up everybody.
Well, they did. I don't feel it's necessarily that way now. Because now they know, because you have Disney adults and they will buy anything that's Disney. They don't care if it's a tablecloth or the 16th sequel to 101 Dalmatians. They'll just buy it.
A black hole jigsaw puzzle, maybe?
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
Just saying.
But that's what they're notorious for.
Sure.
Well, okay, in my defense on the
You were a child when you bought that puzzle.
But also that's the movie, right? I have a lot of Disney stuff, you know, you would buy, but it has, to me, it's like, I get what she's saying, is like, it's got to be, people just love Disney as a brand.
Yeah, like they don't care what it is.
Right. Whereas, you know, we might devour it in terms of the product itself. If it has to do with a certain movie and we love that movie, then we go after that merchandising. But yeah, most people are like that, you know?
And it just sucks that now Disney is obtaining everything. Like, I now, to get my Spider-Man, like, because this goes to this. I love Spider-Man. I will buy whatever figure, shirt, whatever. I love Spider-Man that much. But now it just falls into the Disney umbrella. So I think that they just want money. So they're going to obtain everything that's going to give them money.
Right, they're going to monopolize the market even further if people allow them to do so.
What happens when there's no more snow left to pack onto the snowball? I mean, we're down to 6 companies that own all of media.
I know.
When there's nothing left to purchase, what does Disney do?
Then they make even more ridiculous merchandise that nobody needs. Or the 16 spin-off Marvel shows, or the 20 billion Star Wars prequels that nobody asked for. Like, they fuel on nostalgia. That is honestly what it is.
Lucasfilm and Star Wars was doing that shit before Disney got a hold of them.
Yeah, but why do you think Disney wanted them?
They're
but now they're a corporation,
shameless.
Like much more than they were before.
And you can put it in your theme park. You can put it in, so they can just obtain even more money off the back of it because now it's theirs. Because we didn't have Star Wars Land before Disney bought it out. Because
we had Star Tours.
Nobody was going to definitely fight Disney on an amusement park level. You know what I mean? Because they had the monopoly on that as well.
And this makes me wonder, what if the black hole had utterly failed? If the black hole had lost money instead of gaining a profit, 35 mil off a 20 mil budget, Would any of this have taken place? Probably so, but not as quickly as it did.
I'd still be watching Marvel movies.
The black hole proved to them that they could do this and get away with it.
Yeah, but that's a big leap.
Yeah.
I mean, they were still struggling in the 80s, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Tron is a classic, but it did not do nearly as well.
Oh, God, no.
The numbers.
As they had hoped it had,
no.
You know.
It kind of didn't get its big resurgence until later, and I think that's why we ended up with a sequel to it.
Even that was kind of a dicey thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it had been talked about forever. And
well, we never got the third one, go figure.
But we did get that. They did a TV series also, Uprising.
I thought you were going to say Automan just then, but that was not a Tron thing.
I would love to get another Automan. What is Desi Arnaz Jr. doing right now? Well, the director of, the Tron sequel was slated to do a remake of The Black Hole. And that's why you see that black hole memorabilia in the kid's bedroom in the beginning of the film.
Yep.
As a little nod. And I don't know why they didn't, because I'm surprised they remake everything else.
Yeah. And it's not like it super failed. Had it not done well originally, I could say, okay, I understand why they didn't. But to feed and fund that nostalgia, people would see it, I doubt you're the only fan.
They had some duds around that time too.
Is there a huge amount of black hole nostalgia to dive into there? I mean, how deep is that pool?
No, I don't think they care about that.
Nostalgia, and no, they know that the fans of it then would probably go see it now if they made it.
Or,
just
it's just like looking at it with modern technology and effects is what I see Disney going, we could just update this with new effects. They don't give a shit about the source material.
Make a live action Lion King with no real lions in it?
Yeah, which is still animated heavily.
I will promise you this, folks. If they do a remake of The Black Hole, I will go to that theater, and as the credits roll, I will stand up out of my chair and stomp out, declaring, "Damn it, I thought this was Star Wars," and leave.
Which is far more plausible nowadays because they own both properties.
Just to keep the
there's like 15
going.
Star Wars at all times.
Right,
always.
There's a Star Wars, yeah. Yeah. Except they're not as theatrical anymore.
I kind of hope it happens now just so we can witness that.
They had some huge bombs lately too. Not lately, but around that same time of Tron Legacy with like John Carter was a huge bomb.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia was a huge bomb. So I think maybe that cooled their heels on thinking about doing a Black Hole remake because they're kind of epic based live action movie. And let's not forget the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
God damn.
Did they do the Uncharted? Were they involved in the Uncharted film at all?
I don't think. I think is that Universal maybe or Columbia?
Remember.
I can't remember. No, I don't think so.
Well, because I know it's a Sony game, but I don't know if Sony released.
Oh no, it is Sony then. Yeah, okay, it is Sony.
Sony has their own stuff. Okay. Sony's got their own thing going on.
Well, I was just curious because a couple of those things you listed, well, not a couple, like Prince of Persia is a video game movie. And video game movies don't typically ever succeed no matter who's doing them.
Unless you're Uwe Boll. And
House of the Dead, man, film of the year. So many years later.
You look at it now and you're like, it's a classic. Why wasn't Jürgen Prochnow nominated for Best Supporting Actor alongside Clint Howard?
Fun fact, I've never even seen that movie because I'm not wasting my time with it.
Yeah, don't.
Nah.
Although I find him quite intriguing as a filmmaker.
Well, I mean, I love when my filmmakers try to box other filmmakers.
That is amazing. If you ever watch, have you seen that footage?
No.
Seriously, like most of the people that he challenged them, most of which hadn't even seen one of his films. They were just jumping on the bandwagon.
Which is also a video game movie.
Yeah. Well, most of his movies are. Alone in the Dark.
True. I didn't even think about
In
that.
the Name of the King. Yeah, all of that.
Yep.
Persona Loken. Blood Rain.
I love that game series.
Like, I was against him. Like, I was like, what? How's he doing this shit? How's he getting Ben Kingsley and all these people? I hadn't even seen any of his movies yet. And then I saw this documentary about vampire movies, like on Stars. It was a current documentary. So they were talking about, not the greatest vampire movies. Underworld. Anyway, you okay?
No, I love the first one. What are you doing?
Oh, no.
Well, no. Okay. They
Is
got two
Underworld a
fans.
Screen Gems film?
Yes, it is. And they can have it. Anyway,
I'll give you all the others, but the first one was good.
I'm still waiting for the sequel. Oh wait, they've made 9 of them. Anyway,
I'm shocked it's not a Disney property.
Right. No, but the point is, they said, I think they interviewed Ben Kingsley, and he said, "Yeah, I mean, I'm making a vampire film in Transylvania. Yeah, I'm going to sign up for that." I'm like, brilliant. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Back to Disney.
No, never back to Disney. I'm just so angry at them. Sorry.
You know, the for me with the whole 20th Century Fox thing, that really killed it for me. Like that.
X-Files. They want to do a prequel series to X-Files.
Of course,
Why?
they want to do everything with.
Stop it!
They want to make a children's television version of French Connection. You know.
Katie, if you want to celebrate the old Fox company, you can always go back to Tubi. That's still owned by Fox Corp.
I love Tubi.
Tubi
has like the most hidden gem horror movies.
For now.
They have like the weird...
Don't forget,
true.
though.
A lot of stuff is...
Tubi is still
really...
a Rupert Murdoch company. And since they bought it, Murdoch bought it, they have pledged to replace what's on there with more of their original programming. Who knows what that's going to be?
Yeah, but you know what? Original is not always bad. And sometimes we need some new stuff out there instead of rehashing the same shit over and over.
Katie, it's the Fox News people. They're going to put shows on with...
Ew.
Kirk Cameron's going to do some movies for Tubi, probably.
Is that like Father Like Son sequel we've been waiting for?
So like 12 more Avatars?
No, this is Fox Corp. This is Fox News that owns Tubi.
Well, Disney owns Avatar and all that shit. You talking about the James Cameron?
Oh, true, because we go to Avatar Land.
Yeah.
They made that into a fucking land, too.
I'll tell you this.
I've been very nice and have curbed my anger in this podcast episode.
No, that's fine. I'll tell you this, Katie. The last 2 movies I went to, there was a preview for the next Avatar movie.
Yes.
And the crowd was dead silent except for maybe a polite cough. When it was over, nobody.
What have you seen recently that you saw Avatar trailers?
No, I'm not.
Go ahead. I saw it in front of Jurassic World Dominion.
Oh, I didn't see Jurassic World.
I saw it definitely in front of the last Thor movie, and I cannot remember.
That makes sense. Disney.
Yeah, of course.
How have I totally missed this trailer in the theater then?
Oh, it's been out for.
Did you see the Crawdad Sing movie? Is that what it was?
I mean. Katie, what probably happened is you went to the theater and then passed out unconscious.
That's seriously
until the trailer.
That's my 2-minute nap is when that shit comes on. The
trailer was starting, and as a defense mechanism, you went unconscious until it was over, and that's how you missed it. That's my best guess. That's what I felt like doing.
I just like how I got called out in the beginning of the episode before it even started.
No, that wasn't just about you. We've had discussions about Disney before. And they generally go to this.
No, but I've expressed disdain about them too.
Anticipating that happening.
All of us have.
You're just more cordial about it than I am. I just get angry.
Well, no, I do send self-addressed stamped envelopes, and I was like, please, here's my feedback. Retort back to me, and it's very cordial. Yes. Yeah, it just makes me sad. I guess I can't get angry because it just makes me sad.
I think the part that made me most upset was learning about how much percentage of revenue they require from theaters. And that's why theaters have to put it in 20 different theaters so they can actually make money on it, which pushes out other things. And
well, look at your...
That's not a new thing. That Sony started
it's
that
not
with
a
Spider-Man.
new thing.
But
it's more... well, Disney has one of the highest percentage required for revenue out of it, and it's like something like 17-18%, where most people take like maybe 5 to 7, and then it just pushes out other things. Like, for instance, and I'm not saying Disney did this, but like I wanted to see The New Orphan in theaters this weekend. No theaters have it.
Spoiler alert!
So I have to watch
the
that
old
when I'm
Orphan
streaming.
in a prequel.
But it's like it's just
the new old Orphan.
The new old Orphan. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And then heaven forbid anybody say, oh, Disney's ruining theater experiences, because then you get shit on for it, because heaven forbid you speak against Disney.
No, I mean, that's the standard deal now, is if you have a multiplex, if you have 12 screens and you want this movie, you will put it on 9 of those screens and give us 80% of the box office for the first weekend,
Right.
70% after that, and then 50% after that if it's even still a thing.
Like, you're not going to turn away a Marvel film if you
Across the
own a
board,
theater.
everybody does this.
I know, but it's like how much else gets
pushed out.
Yeah.
This is where your
Let's
art
open a
house theaters
theater.
come
Make
into
no money.
handy. This is where places like Texas Theater or Magnolia or the Inwood Theater here in Dallas come in really handy because they don't have those deals. They don't have to do this.
Yeah, they can play by their own rules.
And they still show them. They just don't show them as intensely.
Right.
Well, the other thing, too, is it's what you mentioned, The Lion King, and that year that they did that live-action remake, they also did Dumbo and Aladdin in the same year. And then every other, like, that would be like let's say Dumbo was in March. Then there would be a Marvel movie the next month. Then there would be a Star Wars movie. Then there would be another Marvel movie. Then it would be Lion King. I'm like, you're competing with yourselves. Like, where's the end game here?
Yeah.
Like, you're dominating the
that
market.
Already came out.
Yeah, of course. With Christopher Lambert and Adrian Paul. Yes. Or Al Cleaver. Are you talking about the Al Cleaver version?
As I said, when there's no more snow left to pack on the snowball, where do you go? You already own everything. You are competing with yourself. It's diminishing returns. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Is the goal to own everything?
I think it is, to monopolize.
Well, yeah. At some point, everybody who wants a Disney subscription will have one. Then there's nowhere left to go with it.
The only way Disney will get my money back is if they do an X-Files land. Put that in your amusement park, Disney.
How would that even play out?
I don't know. That's for them to find out.
You'd have a little Tombs ride where you kind of squish down and shove yourself through a letter slot, or
we've revamped the Haunted Mansion ride. Yeah.
That's the only way I'm back. It's the only way they're getting my money again.
You can get the T-shirt that says "Aliens anal probed me at Disneyland" or something like that.
I got anal probed, and all I got was this T-shirt.
There you go. Now,
well, don't they have a Simpsons ride now, or no?
Do you get anal probed in it?
I don't know. I'm just asking. Like, you love the Simpsons?
They have a Simpsons thing. I don't love the Simpsons.
I thought you did.
No, not at all. I only watched it because it came on before X-Files.
You earlier said that I love the Simpsons, and I want you to mention it in the recording.
I said Millhouse. It's coming up, Millhouse.
Everything's coming up, Millhouse. Yeah.
No. Why are you winking
the
at me?
Episode.
Keep winking at me. Okay, so you do love them. Okay, gotcha.
Are you willing to give up every property that you completely love just because Disney owns it?
I'm getting there.
Yeah, that's the other thing about watching this.
As far as giving my money towards it, yeah. I'm out of Marvel. The last thing I saw was the last Spider-Man one. And I saw that because I had gift cards. But I'm out of Marvel. Unless it's something randomly that I am unaware that Disney owns.
You'll do the research.
I have been actively trying to keep from giving my money to them.
Wow.
Because I put my money where my mouth is.
Is that Money Train reference?
Mm-hmm. No, Money Heist.
Money Heist. I like that is a great title.
Throw Money from the Train.
There you go.
The sequel to Throw Mama from the Train. Right. And then their names are Bull et Train.
Yes.
French.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Boulet.
Boulet Train. Chocolate Mousse.
Is that the villain?
Sure.
Go full top secret on that.
Handlebar mustache. Yes. Welcome, Nick. Still my favorite joke ever. Holding the sign that says "Welcome, Neek." Top secret.
So you haven't given up on Disney yet, I guess. Me? Are you getting there? Yeah.
Oh no, I don't give a shit about Disney.
Feeling it?
Not now. I'm not into the Marvel stuff anyway, so that doesn't. And then maybe I'll watch some of the Star Wars stuff, but it's all extra stuff. It's not anything that's essential to me. So
there's only been one thing I have watched on Disney Plus, and it's not even my account, and that's Chicken Little because I love that movie so much.
That's not their movie, is it? I didn't know that. Okay.
I saw it 7 times in theaters when I was a child.
But there's nothing wrong with loving the stuff you love, you know?
I don't care. I just like chickens.
I know, but okay.
I should rewatch it.
So, Katie, what are your final thoughts on The Black Hole? Did you like this movie? Would you watch it again?
I will never watch it again.
Damn it.
Okay, well,
it's beautiful, though. I do love how it looks visually.
So you're not getting a black hole lunchbox right now, or going out?
No, I'm actually planning my black hole tattoo.
Oh, it's just a dot.
It's gonna be Vincent.
This better be happening. This better actually be happening.
Okay.
A Vincent tattoo. We'll put it on the Instagram the moment.
And if they fuck it up, it'll be a Bob tattoo. Look at it that way. If it's a little dented, little, yeah.
Well, you could like flex and go, Vincent. Bob.
There you go.
I love the fact that you think I can flex.
And on that cheerful note, everybody, I think it's very past time to wrap up this episode.
Have fun editing.
Check out The Black Hole no kidding. Check it out if you haven't seen The Black Hole, and we'll catch you next time.
In a truck flying off a bridge.
Here we are again. Another entertaining and informative episode has come to a close. I hope you all leave this episode feeling refreshed, inspired and encouraged to explore whatever black holes you might find out there. The Smooth Thrills Radio Hour is a production of Ghostcraft and is recorded live in a small zero-gravity pocket in Dallas, Texas. Now go power up your telepathic robot friends and enjoy the rest of your day. Kisses.
I didn't sign up for this.
This has been a Ghostcraft presentation.